Well, hi Mark, how you doing?
I'm well, Mr. Capaldi. Thank you very much for having me on, and congratulations on a wonderful event that took place. I don't know when. I've had a bit of a sleep mystery. I my session that I had yesterday started at 3 a.m. in the morning,
Yeah.
and I was scared about falling asleep beforehand and not waking up. That wouldn't have been a good look.
Yeah.
So I've had a bit of an odd day sleep-wise. I slept a little bit after the session, then came back on because I didn't want to miss all the other sessions. So, but in any event, congratulations. It was really good. It's always a very inspirational thing to be amongst supporters. And as the organizer, were you happy with how it all unfolded?
I'm not sure if I'm quite the organizer. I remember getting the messages every now and again. Paul, could you give me a call in the morning? Could you visit the headmaster's office?
That's right. Yeah. Well, you'd be used to that call, wouldn't you, Paul?
I'm very used to that.
Yeah, that's right. um, yeah. So no, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I think I got spoiled. I mean, all the guests were wonderful, but I think I did get spoiled at being able to host um, Jerry Buting. He was a fascinating gentleman to speak with, and was very candid and engaging. And you know, he. If you actually go back and listen to that interview, especially, um, Jerry obviously occupies most of the discussion, but he's very open. He
Yeah.
acknowledges the things he has, that they may have made mistakes. He
Yeah.
acknowledges that there are things he can't talk about. He
Yeah.
acknowledges the value of the social media groups and all that. Is just a, you know, he's the sort of guy I would want to have on my side if I had a lawyer. That's for sure.
Yep.
And and sometimes we look through the prism of 15 years since the trial. Yeah, 15 years since the trial, nearly anyway. With the benefit of all of the knowledge that we have accumulated over the last 5 years, none of which they had, well, little of which they had, certainly didn't have the time. And so, yeah, I think overall they did a pretty good job, even though Jerry would be the first to admit it with more time and circumstance and a bit more benefit of hindsight, he probably would have done a few things differently. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure. Sure. No, I think the format was quite good from the point of view that you know yes, it would have been great to have had a lot longer with all the guests, all the channels
Yes.
with all the guests. But you have to realize that that there are time restrictions for the guests, and also it's sometimes it's a case of quality rather than quantity. So if you've got a quick fire, constantly changing hosts and guests. I think it keeps it. The day went incredibly quickly. Now, originally it was you that came up with the idea. Well, what time do we go? 12 hours. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the evening, and then Sandra Lane and Sharon agreed to do an hour segment earlier, and that
Yes.
allowed us to fit in Millbilly, who wasn't sure of his work commitments until virtually the last minute. And then it was quick fire all the way through, and then we added Johnny Jack Ripper at the end, and
Yeah.
and you might not have heard, but his session went on for 6 hours. It was a right end,
So that was
after
like you
party, after
probably
party.
did he get the award, the Havering Award?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I unfortunately I did watch him for a good part of his session, but not for the whole 6 hours.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he's a wonderful.
yeah.
I like his style, the way he does things. It's very interesting.
Well, he managed to
Um,
get Ali Apperson to join, and even TikTok Manitowoc. And TikTok Manitowoc, of course, very interesting to listen to.
yeah, actually, yeah, well, always, of course, and Ali
Yeah,
for that matter.
yep,
I kind of hadn't seen Ali for a while. I'm going,
yeah,
oh, Ali, there
yep,
you are. You look a bit different.
yep,
But it's just she's such a wonderful soul, Ali, and to have her into the session after not seeing her for a long time was very special.
yep.
Yeah,
And I mean, looking through the other hosts. I mean, you had Tracy Strunsey did her
yeah,
Scales of Injustice all by herself. Dr. Siltman did wrote and presented the foul play.
Yeah, I could tell just by that presentation, there was a lot of work went into that
Yes.
presentation.
Yeah.
Technically, it was very smooth. It was very to the point. He's
Yeah.
very articulate, Dr. Silkman, and
Yep.
yeah, it's one that there was a lot to be absorbing. Very interesting.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I was very fortunate to have Dr. Ed Johnston with
yes.
Tracy Keogh joining me for that one, and then I had Vic Fussell, and what an absolute charming person he is. You know, he's
Mm-hmm.
very, very interesting. You know, his transformation from being a albeit a very ethical prosecutor to being a defense attorney, and even from the point of view that a prosecutor who originally was pro death penalty and is now opposed to it, you know.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting thing. So it's kind of I find the whole, I'm a totally anti-death penalty
Yeah.
thing,
Same.
because I don't think that achieves anything for society to legally
Yeah.
put someone to death.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that people don't deserve some penalty, but to get someone who was pro-death penalty to totally transform says that something significant went on in their thought processes, and we should all be open to change on things like that.
Yeah.
And I think we still have, I could be wrong here, but I think we still have about 16 or 17 US states that have the death penalty.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
Yeah.
more that stops, the better.
Yep. I mean, looking at the other channels, we had Millbilly with what was often referred to as the dream team of himself, Fleetside, Jerry's, McGilla. You know, I mean, you know, I'll tell you, there's some there's some IQ amongst that lot, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Especially, you know, and you know, a lot of IQ and a lot of bananas as well.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
yeah,
Did I miss Jerry's out of that? It was
yeah,
yeah, Millbilly, Juris,
yeah.
Fleetside, McGilla, and
There was 5 of them. I know that.
yeah,
I think. Who do we miss?
who
Millbilly,
have I
Jury.
missed? Yeah. I'm actually doing a little presentation as we speak, actually. So why am I struggling to remember? Hold on a sec. Oh yeah, sorry. Fleetside, Big Jeff, Juris, McGilla.
Big Jeff. Big
Yeah,
Jeff was the name we
yeah,
left at.
yeah,
All very talented advocates.
yeah,
I can listen to all of them all the time.
yep,
Never tire.
yep,
So
yep. We also
yeah,
had obviously one of the dudes. Passions was for Daniel Holtzclaw, so we had Just Rhonda with Alice Irvin and Cherie Hull, who did a
yeah. I
presentation.
listened to a good part of that. I found that extremely interesting.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So yeah, it was fascinating.
I'm trying to think. Have we missed anybody? I don't think we've missed anybody from the list, but I will just make sure.
Well, Linda and Becca.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say Linda and Becca with both Pete Dassey and Barb Ellen
Yeah,
in the on the show. So that was excellent.
yeah, it was.
I've mentioned Tracy Strunsey with her Scales on Justice. Jerome also he got
Oh yes, of course.
Pete on Sandy
Yeah.
Greenman and um, Stacy. Stacy
Oh
was there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was always floating around, Stacy. No, I thought it was very good. That it went very smoothly, and a lot of good comments. People enjoyed it. If enjoy is the right word, it's partly trying to, sort of provoke, isn't it? It's
Yeah. I
it's not
mean,
a.
to take Richard's sort of modus operandi, he was about professional controversy, if I can call it that.
Mhm.
You can, and he would always say you can have a difference of opinion, but doesn't mean you can't respect and behave properly. So provoking conversation can be a way of challenging our pre-existing thought patterns,
Yep.
and maybe allow us to modify them to a different view, or not. But either way, having good debate and good discussion helps educate us.
Mhm. And of course, we had Jane and Di
Oh, of
with
course.
Kate Judson of
Yeah.
the Center for the Integrity of Forensic Sciences. So, I was really disappointed that we almost got the guest that I was hoping for them. But at the very last minute, he said, "Look, give us 20 minutes." And then all of a sudden, he said, "Look, I've come home. There's a family emergency. I need to
Yeah.
attend to that." So that's obviously, nothing we can do about that. But
Paul, I love the diversity of our supporters.
yeah,
Uh, expressed at the just as one microcosm, the people who are hosts and today, they just come from all over the world. They come from different areas of interest. There's no one flavor for everyone, and I think that diversity gives us a lot of strength as a group, and there's always something to learn. That's what I love about it.
yeah.
So
I must admit, I have been having a huge grin on my face, not just because of the fact that we were doing this in memory of the dude, but the fact that when I last spoke to you, we had the state's response to Kathleen Zellner's motion,
oh
and
yeah,
there were a lot of people. There were people. I would say 99% of the people were saying, "Look, there's no way Kathleen Zellner would be presenting this Thomas Sawinski without having corroborated what he's saying." But
yes, I agree.
their state went for it, hook, line, and sinker, didn't they? She sold them an absolute dummy. And the number of
Yeah,
people that have said, that unfortunately these, your Lisa Comforts of your world, your state prosecutors, they really are dummies at times. They really don't understand, what Zellner is about. She's not going to
if
take
you
any prisoners.
you ask yourself this question, what is the most valuable thing that Kathleen Zellner has that she would not want to put ever at risk?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that question would be her reputation,
Yep.
right? Because it's the thing that carries her forward, let alone what she's doing in the present. So,
Yep.
whilst I wasn't aware of what was going to come in her response to the state's response, it didn't surprise me, to be honest. I always knew without knowing that she would have done her homework. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
sort of person she is.
Yeah.
She's not inclined to be at all to frivolous things. And so it was just, I read her presentation. In fact, the attachments were just as enjoyable as the presentation.
Yeah.
Because there was stuff there that we hadn't seen before, like emails and
Yeah.
that actually Mr. Sawinski's confirmation, but not by just by kind of taking them out of her file and attaching them to her response, shows that what she was saying previously, it was actually already verified. And I just found it extremely powerful. And she's a real wordsmith, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So reading the actual submission itself was very, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love that sort of stuff. Yeah. So,
and I can only imagine that the dude has a big smile on his face from Kathleen Zellner's filing, the state's
yeah.
response, her response,
Oh, yeah.
and the
I can see him now in that room
yeah.
behind you. This coming home from work whenever the time was and go, well, folks, he would have gone, he had that kind of
Yep.
thing about him, and he would have loved. And Richard was a well-read man as well,
Oh, yeah.
and he would have really enjoyed reading Kathleen Zellner's documentation there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, obviously it's amazing how, as you say, people from such a wide spectrum of backgrounds, all coming together with so much passion and energy for it as well. I mean, obviously you've got the guests, you've got the hosts, you've got the people that have that have spent you know virtually all of yesterday watching the various channels. It's
Yeah, and a lot of new people as well. The number of people interested in the whole Making a Murderer saga, but the number of new people that have joined the various groups over the last 6 to 9 months has just been phenomenal. As I've said before, I'm an admin type person on one of the groups, and I think it would be reasonable to say that every day there's probably 30 new members, or maybe even more. And the group I'm involved is nowhere near the biggest, and so I'm sure the numbers are even greater elsewhere. So
which group is that one, no, Mark?
it's Lisa Statskalski's group. It's called, oh, I should know, shouldn't I? It's the red and blue one. Hang on, let me. The names all merge together. I'm going to tell you.
They do, don't they? Yeah.
It's called Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey Discussion Group.
That's it. Yeah. Yes, discussion group. That's right. And it
Which,
looks like a big sign on a hotel.
Yeah, like this. Oh, I don't know whether you can see that because of the glare, but yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But Lisa runs a good group there, and I think when I joined it, I mean, I'll give you this example. There are around 6,000 members in this group. I think when I first became an admin on it, not that I'm attributing this to me, but just to the change, there was probably 3,000 members. So they've almost doubled, right? And most of that's come in the last 12 months for sure. I guess a lot of people had a lot of spare time to watch a lot of Netflix, and I think that's where the interest has come. So so.
It's interesting that, because Lisa was one of the first ladies that we managed to get on with the dude.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
I think it was Marilyn Shue Carter that was the first one, and then I you know, the really good thing is that, you know, sometimes you go out and you try and, you know, explain to people that, you know, would you like to come on, you know, particularly back then, I was reaching out to people to come on to the Dudes channel, you know, but you know, I get people get in touch with me now, you know, saying, you know, I'd like to come on and talk a bit about the case, you know, so it's that whole sort of you know, keep talking till it, you know, till they're walking. It's all about discussing the case, sharing opinions. I mean,
can I just mention one other thing that's
sure.
a little tangential to yesterday, is that I've seen a number of the supporters, especially the women supporters, doing short video messages to Governor Evers about Brendan.
Right.
I've seen a few of those very, very touching, heartfelt messages as mothers and supporters of Brendan, and I think that's all part of one of the many campaigns that Tracy Keogh is involved in. But it's really quite compelling stuff when you see these people just pleading for him to give Brendan a fair go. So,
yeah, I think you know, it's good, as you say, to put pressure, or try and put pressure on, you know, the governor of Wisconsin, who's apparently got this, you know, educational background. But it's also equally good to see that Kathleen Zellner is really starting to put the squeeze on, you know, on the judiciary within Wisconsin. You know, I'm of the opinion that she has, you know, wanted to remand it again, so that she is constantly knocking on Angela Sukovich's door and saying, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I get it. You don't like Steve. You never liked Steve, you know, and I get it. You're trying to protect your friends within the legal system, but you know, this isn't working. You know, you've got to pay attention to this, you know, and not try and act as if you're some sort of assistant district attorney.
Well, the one of the things I say ad infinitum is that, you know, the justice system in its fullest form includes review, right? It's not just about conviction and see you later, we don't want to know about you.
Yeah.
All that Kathleen Zellner is doing is giving Stephen his rightful review process, or seeking it.
Yep.
And the evidence, the preponderance of the evidence is such that Stephen is entitled for that information to be deemed correct, subject to having an evidentiary hearing. And it's not, none of the stuff that Kathleen Zeldner's put forward and is frivolous.
Oh no.
It's well documented, it's independent, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So Judge Angela's sort of thwarting of due process, as that's how I see it.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to like Stephen to give him what he's entitled to, right? He's entitled to a proper judicial review. And so her unwillingness to perform her role as she's sworn to do is just, it's really embarrassing and disgusting. And I think if the stay and remand order to get it back there is just really putting more and more pressure on her, or would do if that's how it unfolds.
Yeah.
So,
I think that you've hit the nail on the head with the word embarrassing, because I think
yeah.
that's what Kathleen Zellner is doing here. She's setting up Judge Angela for this really embarrassing, once Steve is out, the sort of inquiry that people are going to have into this, and they're going to look at Angela Sukovich and they're going to say, well, Steve should have been out years and years before he did. But
Yes.
who was obstructing justice? A judge? Seriously? You
Yeah.
know?
And the process is such that Stephen, provided the claims aren't just crazily frivolous, that he's entitled to the first order of presuming the information has validity.
Yeah.
And so let the evidentiary hearing unfold. Okay, if they rule against him after that, that's another matter separate from the actual process of actually having the hearing. To thwart any access to the natural justice process reflects poorly on the judge herself, plus anyone else who's contributing to it.
So anyway, final thoughts. Same again next week?
Yeah, why not? Do you mind if I start at 4 a.m.? It was a bit,
Yeah.
I should say as a final thing, we raised in donations. The donors, I can't name them because I have to have their permission to do that, so I won't name them. But we raised about $500 or so.
Wow.
Which is nice. That'll pretty much pay for 2 scholarships.
Yeah.
For the foundation. And if people are hearing this thing that we're talking about now still wish to make donations, and we're always gladly looking to receive them, and they can still do that by going to the website for trmaf.org, and the donation page is there. So, but thank you to those who donated. I will be sending you a direct email to thank you personally. But yeah, we're pleased with that outcome anyway.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, you can understand why, I think the first Mammothon, was it nearly $6,000 that was raised from Steve and Brendan, but that's going straight to them, so that was them, more or less financially independent. I think Tracy said for more or less a year, that was them, had that independence. They could do the phone calls, they could do the, get whatever, they wanted extra food wise and stuff, and I've no idea what the figure was for Mammothon 2.
I think it was still pretty high.
Yeah,
I seem to remember.
But then we didn't sort of count it, did we? There wasn't like a counting up. It was just direct to
that's
to Steve and Brendan.
Yeah.
But that was really good. Well, full steam ahead now for waiting for the Court of Appeals to consider this. I mean, if it's Judge Riley that's looking at this, he seems to have been pretty fair so far. Remanding it back twice. People are speculating, how long do you think it'll take? The sort of mean average, I would say, was 30 days. They'll take about maybe a month to remand it back or not, but I can't see them not remanding it back when you've got this, these 2 motions. Well, the motion and the response by the state, which was pathetic, and Zellner's, which shows everybody just how pathetic the response by the state was.
Yeah, well, I'm just hopeful that, more than hopeful, that the appeal court, there's a higher level of integrity the higher you go up the food chain of the court system, and hopefully they'll look at and go, well, this satisfies the normal test. Let's take Stephen Avery's name off off the top of it and just say, does this satisfy the normal test that would entitle them to a stay in remand or whatever the outcome is? And I'm confident that's what will happen, and hopefully it'll be dealt with. Hopefully they'll put a time frame on top of it so that Angela can't sit on it, and it'll be back up with them. Well, let's say Angela accepts it, that'd be nice. But and wants an evidentiary hearing on that item, or just pushes it back up to the appeal court, so it's part of the total claim. So.
It was explained to me that in a previous remand or previous remands, it's the wording from Judge Riley which is important, because in the past he said, to carry out any evidentiary hearing that the circuit court feels is necessary, to which Angela can just say, I don't think there's anything necessary. But I think it can be remanded back with, it is ordered that there will be an evidentiary hearing.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be interesting.
Which would be absolutely brilliant. I think I've got that right. I have a funny feeling it was Travis that was explaining that to me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the lower court is the trier of fact, so I think that's where it's got to start at that point.
Yep.
But if she doesn't deal with it and pushes it back up the line, well, at least it's all with the rest of it. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I realize it's what 22.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been in a bit of sleep.
I noticed a few sneaky little yawns when I was just talking to you, Paul. So you must have had not much sleep yourself. So
do you know what I did was I basically was here all the time, apart from taking the dog for a walk, but even then having my phone so I could listen to what was going on. No, I had I went to bed once Ripper had started, and then got once he was to about, the dog woke us up probably 6 o'clock, so that was after 2 hours sleep, and that was me. So yeah, about 2 hours sleep.
Yeah, I reckon you guys had the toughest gig. Starting at the hour I did, right from the beginning it was midnight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as hard to be kind of wide awake and then having to get some sleep so you could be there again. I think that was a bit tricky. Yeah. But the ones who got the best gig were those cheeseheads over in Wisconsin, just 9 to 11, or if in the case of Ripper, a bit longer. But that's why we did it that way. We wanted it on American time. Yeah.
And if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing.
Nope.
And when you've got a passion for this which we have, and obviously the dude and everybody in this community has it. It's a case of, we're not going to go into this half-heartedly.
No,
there's nothing half-hearted.
No, we don't. We're not just crazies on the fringe, just doing something because we've got nothing else to do with our lives. We're all busy people.
Yep.
We're passionate about this because we believe in the truth. We believe in Brendan and Stephen, and we see this not only as something we're trying to do for them, but we believe there's a greater good as well from exposing these sorts of wrongdoings that have gone on, that have been typified in their case, and unfortunately in many others. So, we're not going away. We're not going away. That's for sure.
Yeah, we had a moment, and I won't name names, but it was quite funny, and it reminded me of one day when I was playing up at St. John's Church, because I used to go up there and play the accordion when I wasn't teaching on a Sunday morning, and I had a gig the night before, and I wouldn't have had that much sleep, And when it came to Jane's sermon, I've sort of got my arm on top of the accordion, my head on its side, and I'm just starting to doze off, and all of a sudden, Jane in her sermon goes, "Paul," and I sort of wake up with a start, and she carries on, "In his letter to the Corinthians."
If she had said Saint Paul, then you wouldn't have needed to wait. That's for sure.
I wouldn't know.
Very good.
Yeah, I got caught out big time there, but there was a moment when I thought a TARDIS was taking off, but it wasn't. It was again just people that have put so much time and effort and energy into this.
Yeah.
As you were saying, people like Dr. Siltman must have put so much time into that presentation.
Oh, there's massive amounts of work because
Yeah,
I think he was using PowerPoint or something. I'm not sure what
yeah,
he technically used,
yep,
but everything went, so the transition to slides and back again was fabulous. So
yeah,
that's not easy to do. We all watch it and think, oh, that's great, but the time that goes into it, it's like those masterpieces that Stacey Seabrook does when he does the song and the video attached to it.
yes,
There is a massive amount of work to
yeah,
put that video together, not just in the video, but the way he ties the imagery to the words in the song and the transition from one thing to another.
yep, yep.
It's I really admire people who've got that skill and tenacity to make that happen.
Well, of course, one of the first ones was the dude, wasn't it? He used to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Produce a video, which he'd spent quite a lot of time on. Sort of
yeah,
editing. Bit of document, a bit of him talking, bit of document, bit of talking,
yeah.
bit of Dr. Pepper, bit of Captain Crunch, a couple of swigs of whiskey. A little bit of Stella Artois. And he was.
Yeah, he was a soldier, that man.
He
My
was.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All
Anyway,
right,
Mark.
mate. Well, I'll let you go. You've got
Thanks very
a
much.
day, and lovely to speak with you again, Paul. Thank you once again for all that you did. It's really amazing, and I know Richard would be very proud of you, mate. So, congratulations. I think it went extremely well.
Well, if I would just point out it was incredibly easy because obviously of the support of everybody, So it certainly wasn't any work. It was a pleasure, and it was a doddle, really.
A doddle.
I mean, if there's one thing I can do, it's send people messages and emails and.
Hey, well, just a final note. I'm sorry, people mightn't understand what I'm going to say to you. Who was in control of your mute button when you were in my session? Were you doing that, or was someone? That was a great comic relief moment.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm thinking, well, I'm not doing it. Is it possible for an admin to do that? I don't know that it is. So I wonder, it must be Paul, right? So, yeah, very clever.
Yeah. I don't think Jerry needed to know much about Captain Crunch. I've already explained to him. He's on my side. Okay, catch you later.
All the best, mate. Take care.
Cheers. Good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.